YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to the diet. Well, sort of a bit of an emotional video because obviously I'm going to be doing a bit of live to camera stuff. Maybe I'm going to start animating early because, well, obviously I'm going to be doing a bit of a vlog. And of course, yes, I'm basically animating at the moment, but I'm speaking live on the camera here because I want you guys to talk about over the long delays for about 2 weeks and also about 3 days. And I was on holiday to Malaysia, and obviously it was Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, of course, via transfer destinations from Birmingham to Doha, Qatar, which was home to the most controversial World Cup. And I don't know how much I could really say here. Obviously, it's possibly going to be very, if not a bit emotional here, because, you know, my grandmother, she passed away. She passed away. She passed away. She passed away. She actually passed away from about, a couple of weeks ago. She passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I'm turning away from the tablet. Oh my god. She's gone. But obviously, with her gone, obviously I don't want to get too emotional here because it might actually make other people a bit emotional here. But let's start taking a bit of deep breaths here. Obviously for me, and I'm actually currently working on a new animation for Christmas. It's actually going to be the most emotional animation I've actually produced. I've overall produced. I actually started the project back in mid-November of 2023, but it was actually very much delayed. And it was just wasting my time, just not actually thinking about the animation so much because of what just happened about my dad's mother, who sadly passed away at the age of 80. She was diagnosed with chest infection, and that's why I came here, just to make quite a bit of a special but sad, but also kind of a little bit, well, just a bit of a sedately emotional video. I need to grab a tissue here, just because I just sort of cried in a bit of misery here. I don't know where the tissue box is. Where did I put it? Oh, it was right over here. Oh god. I lost my grandmother now. She's gone, but, I don't know what to really say, but obviously, obviously there's so much things I'm going to be talking about in this video because I do know of just how much of a delay it has been causing so much. And obviously I don't know how much I could really say to myself. Oh yes. And that's it. I don't know how much I could really say. I'm just sort of thinking of a title. I don't know what to really say. Obviously it's quite, I don't know what title I might put up. Maybe I could put like Merry Christmas from the Malaysia 2023 bird mascots. And obviously it's going to be the most emotional video of all time actually. And in memory of, obviously in memory, as with memory from my dad's mother passing, from my dad's mother passing, dad's mother's death, obviously from my dad's death actually, which is quite possibly very emotional, and that was it. It actually is going to be quite emotional, I suppose, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing here, but obviously I'll be vlogging, but I'm actually going to be chatting as well too, as I'm composing the animation, because I do know of just how, it's a bit relatively sad to think of how much I've lost. I am a very legendary person who has came along and did some amazing stuff. Obviously, I'm going to be telling you some very interesting stories, but also some very dramatic stories about what has been happening throughout the many times I've actually been thinking about her. And again, it's a big reminder that anyone who has actually been around with their elderly relatives, their grandmothers and grandfathers, will certainly know about this. And this is the sore part that everyone here has been, just very much reminiscent of. And it's something because obviously when you think about people, who are coming up to that old age, and sadly when they're being diagnosed with, anything that makes them ill, that's that. There's no return. It's sort of sad, but at the same time, their legacy will never be forgotten. That's the major aspect. Sorry, I've been a little bit suspenseful here because obviously of the emotion that I'm getting, and that's a bit too much, really. But I might as well just jump cut, and I might show you what I'm actually animating at the moment because it's very important to show you some behind the scenes of how I animate. And of course, yes, also at the same time, I've also decided to watch a bit of an anime movie as well, because obviously I'm going to show you what movie I've been watching recently of late. And obviously I've been watching quite a bit of, Urusei Yatsura stuff. And actually, speaking of Urusei Yatsura, the anime franchise, I've actually got 3 items. In fact, I'm going to be doing a collection of Urusei Yatsura stuff that I've just purchased recently from Malaysia at a local mall in Puchong Selangor, Malaysia, which is where my uncle's house is. If you remember the Spotted Dove video, which was the first #1 video I actually made onto YouTube, that was actually filmed just before the passing of my dad's mother's death. But obviously, I don't want to talk about it too much because it may either emotionalize other people and all that stuff and then put them up into their own misery. But obviously, anyways, everyone knows that, with granddads and grandmothers who sadly pass away, it's natural, it's a normal feeling. And that's why when someone dies, they feel sad. That's it. They just want to spend more time with them. But that's how it is, I'm afraid. Okay, and let me just do a jump cut and see what I'm doing here without getting a bit too emotional here. Okay. And I've got a cup of water here as well too, hot water. Because it's freezing outside. And my legs feel a bit funny because I just came back from Malaysia for jet lag, of course. Okay, that's the movie I've been watching. This is Urusei Yatsura movie 1, Only You. It was released in 1983. It was actually quite a very interesting movie, but it wasn't to be honest for me, it's not as visually interesting compared to like Beautiful Dreamer, but it actually had a whole ton of humor in it. But anyways, let me just show you what I've been working on. This is the animation I've been working on. This is what I've been working on. This is obviously the animation I've made for Malaysia 2023. I'm not yet uploading this video until maybe around Christmas Eve. But obviously this is what I've just made. And that's all I can really recognize. I don't know how much effort I can just put against because there's just so much stuff. I could just really want to have a bit of a chit chat of so much stuff, and I just really don't know how much I could really put up with a heck of a fight of going on. What's going on here is just straightforward, too much of such, and I mean very much such, and I mean it's quite, very much something, because when someone passes away, that's it. I have no more words to say, but just other than the fact that, I don't know why am I undoing here, but maybe because I'm just fiddling around with stuff, and that's it. I don't know. It's a bit too hard to really say, of how much I've done, and obviously it's becoming a bit of a complex project. I don't know what to really say. So obviously I'm working on a new Christmas animation. Without just doing this, I'm gonna see how much I could test out the animation. Let me just do it for about, let's say, 3 seconds. Oops, sorry, I've just jerked the tablet here because apparently my tablet case is broken, and let me just prove it to you. Here you go, the tablet case has actually seen far better days. It's actually got a bit of a broken bit here, and there's also a crack here. You see, it's actually built quite a bit faultily, I suppose. It's a bit shoddy. It's kind of like buying cheap and nasty knockoff stuff. I mean, give me a break, guys. It's broken, and obviously, you know, it's looking like it's actually broken. There's another bit here which has been broken off. Obviously, there's a lot of random stuff here. I might as well just talk about. I don't know where to hold this tablet. It's a bit difficult, obviously, because this tablet case is broken. Yeah, so obviously I'm going to set it up to about 3 seconds. Maybe this length. I don't know. I'm just kind of also considering of putting some very Christmassy music, but I'm just going to show you how much I've composed for what I've done so far this year. And I've actually got some new Malaysia 2023 real animations that I've got. And obviously I've animated the lightning, of course, yes. I actually learned how to animate lightning strikes and lightning flashes. I actually learned it from the Halloween animation I did. And that was also another video that was just uploaded before, well, of course, yes, as sad as it sounds, my 80-year-old nanny, of course, from my dad's background, passed away, and that was it. But sadly, that's how life works, I'm afraid, these days. Obviously, I'm just looking back at the frames. Ooh, that was quite scary seeing that. Obviously, I do remember animating this, but I've still got lots and lots of stuff to catch up. Maybe not. I feel like I've done quite a bit of animating. I've actually done this. It's interesting. That is what I've done so far. So I've actually animated these bits. You know, I just can't believe how much I've animated. And obviously that is the rain falling in the background, of course. But I don't know how much I've actually decided to animate. I think it was about, if I was going to edit, let me just say, I might as well do like a Santa hat for Sama the Shama. That is the bird character I've been composing with. And like the Diwali animation, I actually made some turbans for the birds themselves. I actually made a turban for Sama the Shama. That was very nice. And also did like a birthday hat for Oli the Oreo. That was very interesting. Very interesting, actually. As a Halloween pumpkin head type headgear as such. But I'm going to go ahead and probably show you how I animate, because it's very therapeutic seeing the way I animate via Microsoft Paint. It's actually quite therapeutic somehow when I'm doing animating, but it can also be very frustrating because of just how time consuming it can sometimes be. But this is what I've been working on. The rain falling, of course, but I've also have designed some lightning bolts. Some lightning bolt designs that I made for Halloween 2023. And of course, yes, the lightning flashes and then cuts into a different scene where it becomes big. And I'm just going to go back to frame 19 because obviously that was the frame I was working on, and see where the rain was actually falling in. And I can't really remember which position it was. I think it was, I don't know, it was this position. I believe it was the first frame, which was this, and I shall straightforward have a look at what's going on here. So I might as well do number 0 and continue on the whole cycle of how lightning and thunder works. Very good on special effects. As you can see, I'm actually copying the animation I did from what I did back then in, of course, yes, in Halloween time, around October of 2023, that I did to animate the lightning strike. And obviously there's quite a bit of lightning flashing going on here. As you can see, I think I have to do 4 more frames. I think there was 4 more frames at least. Let me just have a look back to the other frame I was animating. It was this one here, but it didn't have a lightning bolt in it. So where's the lightning coming from this? I can't really remember. I think it was frame 18. that I did. So it's coming from the left hand side. I've decided to animate, and I shall include the lightning bolt. Where's the lightning bolt? It was from here, wasn't it? This area here, this bit here, that was it. And that was that, of course. And this is what I'll be working on. Of course, yes, from the Christmas holidays. And just to let you know, the Christmas holidays don't actually start on the 22nd. They will actually start on the 19th of December of 2023. So I'm going to have, well, basically 3 additional weeks, which is actually quite surprising. Can you believe it? I've actually got about 3 weeks. That's amazing. 3 weeks for Christmas. That's just amazing. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't go back to the Ursi Yatsura movie, Only You film, because I'm currently animating this. This is a lightning bolt model sheet complexion set. And of course, yes, I've created. And let me just see which frame it was. It was frame number 19 or 518. So it was that flash, and 120. I'm using this as a genuine reference to replicate how lightning bolts work. And I think it was, let's see, so which, obviously I'm going to go to the Candyland gradient, because I want to see, I've actually created the Candyland gradient, because I wanted to replicate how thunder and lightning work. And that's that, there you go. That was the gradient type design, hey? I decided to basically, replicate. And obviously, number 18 or 19, I'd see which one it was. It was 18. We actually struck towards this part here, I think. Let me just go back. So 118 was here. Let me just go back to frame 18. I don't know why I'm doing the animation bit as I'm talking here. I should have been just talking about the videos that are yet to come. Sorry about that, it was my bad. I did not actually realise that. So yes, the videos I'll be uploading on December of 2023. I'll try and do my best to finish off the animation. It's going to have a scene where Sama the Shama is basically the only bird, maybe other birds like Courtney and Ollie the Oriole, just basically waving to a lot of birds dressed in drag for Christmas. Though at the same time, but obviously I should have said the word but I wouldn't be too pejoratively insultive, if that's a word. Obviously, yeah, so it was frame 18. Let me just go back to frame 18. So the lightning would have struck here, and I think it was this design here that I've used. But yeah, I just actually can't believe how much. Oh, sorry, I should have held the tablet like that, because actually, look at that. That's how I animated. And obviously I don't have a very legitimate, very much proper tablet stand that will showcase how I animate. It's just me on what I actually tend to do. And obviously I should actually take a look at the rainfall as well too, because the rainfall bit as well is also very vital. Maybe I'm just blabbering off what I'm doing here. Oops, sorry, I should have never closed frame 19, I think it was frame 19. So it was frame 18. Yep, frame number 18 with the lightning bolt on it. So yes, obviously I've got a lot of videos coming up for 2023, and obviously there's so many of them. There's just so many video ideas that I cannot actually feel like I can do them all in an instant. And as I said this before, my tablet, of course, here's my PC. Oh, why did I jerk the tablet? Oh my goodness me! I nearly had a jump cut. Sorry, guys. Yeah, but obviously, just to think about how much I will be talking about, what will be like in Malaysia will be quite such a subject that I feel like it's going to be relatively well, very visually interesting, but also a bit, I don't know, it's a bit tough to talk, really, because obviously, well, I've changed so much after, my grandmother died, and that's why I've made such a very vital video just to why did I do that? That was just really dumb of me. But anyways, of course, yes, I've got a lot of videos that will basically unveil, and at the same time we'll talk about how much I've been dealing so well in such a difficult situation that I've been having. A really difficult situation to put up this way, and obviously to take a dose of whatever medicine I feel like I should take to beat the crowd of such misery that I'm having at the moment. And I don't know how much I could potentially say, but it's obviously somehow very much a feeling that is often traced so much back to how much I can really conceive upon, and I mean really conceive. Somehow it really has been such a very difficult feeling to be this way, and I mean really difficult. Oops, I should have just shown you how I can drop images like such, and I mean very difficult. Maybe when my computer accidentally crashes, I shall talk about some genuine random stuff. And obviously, you know, how much I really miss my dad's mother has been very much so, extremely such. And that's why I became really emotional of such. And emotionally for the fact that the loss has played a genuinely big role. Somehow it really is. So much so that the loss of my grandmother, who is of course my dad's mother, has actually very much, well, obviously her illness started. I should tell you a very good story about why this happened. A very gladly sad story. A very good sad story to talk about. Well, obviously throughout the rest of 2023 she was healthy, but then I think just after Murder Day, around late August or before Murder Day, or around September of 2023 or October of 2023, I think, her health problems started to deteriorate, and it was actually her chest infection, but also, of course, yes, she was diagnosed with chest infection around October of 2023, and not just that, she also had, well, of course, yes, she actually had to go back to hospital, but what was really happening was that she was suffering from a case of high calcium levels, and of course, yes, because of her old age, she can no longer walk. She could no longer walk, and I'm using it as a past tense. Sorry about that, but she could no longer walk. Obviously, to say this, very importantly, she could no longer walk, and the only thing that she could use was a wheelchair. And I mean, that was really much about it. That was really much I could say about her, and that was it. Really, the more I think about how much I lose so much about her has made me feel really deeply, sympathetically concise. I've been really deep in such stressful and strifeful times, and in such situations like that, it really has made me feel like I was putting upon such a very huge contrast. Just to say to myself, I've done really well, but I could tell you this, I'm almost feeling like I'm completely speechless. But I should tell you such genuine stories about my dad's mother and how she really shaped me, so much so, before I shall talk about the video ideas that will be coming up in late December, that being Christmas. And also, I've still got a lot of Christmas 2023 items to cover yet, because I'm still producing a lot of Christmas cards, and also other stuff that I'll be making on YouTube as part of almost like a semi-final type moment. It's actually going to be quite much more of an emotional and somber type feeling because of just what happened recently with the death of my dad's mother. And it's just really, really sad to talk about. But at the same time, she really actually spawned a massive, lucky cult. And I mean my family. My family has been on the upfront of being so lucky, yet her background was much more different than that. She actually had a very poor background. She was born in the town of Banting, which is actually in Selangor. If I show you where Banting is, it's a town not far away from the coast of Malaysia. Oh, there it is. I just saw it. It's this one here, not the famous person. Banting, a town in Malaysia. It's quite a coastal one actually, and it has almost about 93,000 people. And this is where she actually spent most, if not all, of her infant life and childhood life, in Malaysia. So there you go, this is Banting, Malaysia. It's actually not far away from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. It's just on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur when you think about it. So I'm just showing you a bit of geography here. This is Banting, and her family was much more of an impoverished and poorer background. They did not have that much money. And because of this, she had no education. But what I do remember from her was that from the backstories of what my father's words of wisdom was like, and also from my cousins, my uncles and aunts, they told me some genuinely loyal stories, and also actually some very dedicated stories about my dad's mother and why she was really special to me. And despite how much I lost so much of her, I just really wanted to spend more of her, of course, just like what my whole family is like. But I'm not going to show you the rest of the whole family because I'm doing this as a bit of a privacy type thing. But what I do know is that even though she had no education, she was pretty much self-taught. She was learning so much, all taught by her grandparent, or by her parents, which are of course my grandparents, who both sadly passed away. She's now, of course, joining with my 70-year-old grandfather, who is of course my dad's father. Sorry, I'm making some unusual shapes with the cursor. I'm just playing around and stuff. And this is what Banting is like. And yeah, of course, yes, that's very much inland, and that's the coast, Morib Beach. That's a very nice looking place that's one area in Malaysia. Morib Beach. I bet it'll be very good for wading birds to be spotted. Pantai Kalanang, Pantai meaning beach in Malay. Very similar to Indonesian actually. Oh, they've got monkeys here. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very nice. They've got a lot of monkey activities going on here. But I bet they've got a lot of wading birds like sandpipers and plovers. That's actually very interesting. They've got a lot of monkeys around here. Around in Malaysia. Which is very, very nice. I don't think they've got any pictures of monkeys. But I heard they've got, of course, yes, a lot of... Here they are. That's what they all look like. The monkeys of Morib Beach. Obviously. That's very funny. It says, beware near... There's a very funny comment that I've actually found about the monkeys themselves. I'm a bit of an animal type enthusiastic type person. I'm just going to scroll down and see what we have. And of course, yes, there's a bit of a funny review. It says, beware, the monkey there is violent to death. Is this a bit of Chinglish or what? Sorry, I shouldn't show you the real person behind this. But thank you very much, Aina Idzlani. But I don't want to probably hollow out the names too much. But I heard there's a lot of good wading birds. Banting, of course, located in Selangor. But of course, yes, she moved all the way to a town called Bentong, which is just 1 hour and maybe 40 minutes away from Kuala Lumpur or Puchong. I can't really remember. This is, of course, a town. She grew up in that town, and she married to, of course, my grandfather, one of my grandfathers, who's, of course, my dad's father. And, of course, yes, of course, here's one thing I remember about this place was that she gave birth to my father. Well, I'm not going to show him, of course, and also my uncle and my 2 aunts. And of course, here's when she was there. Let me just show you the house of where I actually stayed. And that was also the same place where I filmed that yellow vented bauble. So of course, yes, I just go past through the Chinese temple, of course. I think I used to drive coming from here all the way to the river there. And we just simply drive around. There's actually quite a bit of businesses here. So I would have came around from here to there. I think there's like a convenience store here. So I've got the map here, obviously. So I would have driven from here, then pass by the Chinese temple, then go straight via here, turn away from there, and I think... Oh, it's a bit difficult. Where is my grandfather's house? Oh yes, there's a river here. I think it's this one here. With the Kampong restaurant. I think there was some Malay people. This was the house. Here you go, this is the house of where my grandparents, my dad's parents would have been around. And of course, it was the place where my funeral, where the whole funeral was taking place, and I actually felt emotionally sad when I was around at that part here, obviously. I'm doing a bit of animation as well too, just to show you that I'm doing a bit of work here. And of course, yes, this is what it looks like. She actually used to do a whole bunch of different multitasks. She actually really was a person who was connected to nature, because not apart from the fact that she was very much learning Malay and a bit of Chinese. Actually, she actually learnt more Chinese than Malay. That was very one important thing, of course. I come from a Chinese background and Malaysian as well too, because my parents are from Malaysia, but of course is with a Chinese descendant. And that there's of course the local rainforest where you can spot monkeys and gibbons, and there's the other side here where you can spot like birds and squirrels, and of course there's geckos, of course. But what was very important about this section here, this side here, was that she actually learned how to keep chickens in her little backyard. She also learned how to plant so much fruits and vegetables. She actually worked so hard. It was a little backyard farm of hers. She actually practiced a bit of agricultural stuff, and she also did some other stuff inside the house here. She did a lot of hard work to raise my family, of course, to raise my father and also my uncle and my 2 aunts. And of course, yes, during her lifetime, she would have also done a whole bunch of tailoring and sewing. So she had like a sewing machine where she actually learned how to thread blankets and cloths and duvets and handkerchiefs and stuff. I can't really remember because I've actually did a bit of a jump cut, because obviously the maximum file has basically reached to a peak from it. So I might as well continue on the story. And the story was that my dad's mother, alongside my dad's father, sorry, I should have included my dad's father too, because he also included so much so of the almost similar roles, but I guess my dad's father would have actually worked in an office somewhere in Bentong, which I shouldn't really tell. But of course, yes, because obviously it's going to be all about my dad's mother. I could talk about my dad's father, of course, maybe in another video, but I don't think it's going to be that very much likely. Whoops, I've just jerked the tablet. That was my bad. Going to drink more of this because I think it's going to get freezing cold. But, of course, yes, likely enough, she was very much lucky, because obviously my dad's father were, of course, yes, were kind of rich, actually, but not as rich as I thought it would be. And, of course, yes, they later had funding, and that's why my dad's overall had actually got very much more proper education. I mean, compared to Papua, but sorry, I should have never said that name though. That was actually her. Papua is actually a Chinese name. That's actually the name of my dad's mother, but I wouldn't. That's actually her nickname, but I wouldn't tell her about the real name and stuff, because I don't want to actually expose too much of it. I'd say Papua is it's a Chinese name, but this is the school that my dad's mother would have taken. Would have taken to this school here. Obviously, with my dad, I actually know this because obviously I heard this from my father, and actually he used to watch a lot of movies, like, you know, back home in his, you know, obviously my dad would have been watching like Ultraman back home in his TV, and you know, this was the most nearby school, of course. He also liked to go ahead and watch like films like Akira, great Japanese 80s film actually, and he would have also spent much of the childhood I think somewhere in a river in Bentong. I think it was actually this river here. So there was a mosque here. Obviously, there's this river here that he would have actually spent so much time. He would have actually had a look at the fish and stuff, and also the birds that were flying in rivers and such. And he also took me to one particular area. This here is, of course, you can see some stray dogs and stray cats. That's how developing countries are like. This here is, of course, a Malay restaurant, which normally sells like tatak and other Malay bakeries and stuff. I mean, if I just flick the pictures like so, it should tell you some very vital stories. This is 2014. It used to be someone else's house, but now it has turned into a little business. That's very nice to know. Very interesting, and of course, yes, it just shows you how much memories it has been made, so much so that whenever I think of developing countries, this is how my childhood was pretty much spent. And it's very important to talk about developing countries in relationship to childhood memories, because I've spoken to a lot of people from Africa, and I've also spoken to a lot of people from Bangladesh and India, because obviously it's very important to know that while living in a very impoverished and very developing nation, most importantly, it's all about childhood. It's all about making the most of who I was and who my father was, and also my relatives. It's very important to know, you know what I mean? I didn't want to rant, but that's just a bit of general advice and general proof. That's how I work. And of course, yes, I don't want to take a gamble too much, but I like to take a gamble if I can on my channel, as always. But anyways, let me just go ahead and have a bit of a chit chat of the videos that I might be planning, and I'll continue animating along the way here without getting too much drama and stuff. But I shouldn't film for far too long, because obviously I had a bit of a jump cut earlier on, and that's final. And obviously this is what I've been working on. Yeah, oh sorry, that was Sir Thomas Holt from that Halloween 2020 video, dressed up as a chicken. Oh, there you go. You just saw that, didn't you? Okay, so it was this colour here, wasn't it? I don't know how much I could really say, but yeah, it must have been relatively difficult without her, but we knew how much of a legacy she will never be forgotten, of course, to possibly say the least. I don't know what to really say now. Obviously it's going to be, let me just see, how big is it going to be? Somewhere here. So yes, despite the loss of how much I miss so much with my grandmother as such, who is of course my dad's mother, she will never be forgotten. And of course, yes, like any person, she's actually been, well, like any person of my background, of course, she's actually been to many countries around the world. She's been to Japan, she's been to China, she's been to Korea, she's also been to the UK, and most importantly, she also spent so much of my time looking after me when I was just a baby or a toddler, and that was it. I remember so much from her, thanks to what I really did mention from what my dad has spoken to me. And I mean very vitally such, because I can clearly assure to you that anyone who is from a developing nation visiting a developed part of the world has very much such brought me back such childhood memories, but also such adulthood memories, of course, younger days, of course, the youth age. Of course, yes, she was around her late 50s and her 60s, early 60s, I think, when she flew to the UK. Obviously from London Heathrow, because we did not even mention about the direct flight services to, we did mention about Heathrow to Kuala Lumpur, but we did not mention about Birmingham to Dubai via Emirates and stuff. As in the airline, of course. And that was it. We did not notice that, of course, until recently. And that was pretty much almost final. And of course, yes, that was the part I did not really mention so much. But of course, yes. Oh, man, they were just very heartwarming memories, and they were so soothing they were just a feast to the ears and a feast to the eyes of just seeing her. It was just and feeling her, and that was just heartwarming, actually, very much heartwarming to hear about me. And that was great, just to think about her. What an absolute legend she was. She had a very poor background, 31 seconds of course. She had a very poor background, but her legacy of creativity will never be forgotten. Obviously, sewing, tailoring, looking after chickens, agricultural work, a gardener of course, has been very much the inspiration and has embodied us all to become the person that I became. Along with other relatives, of course. But I don't want to talk too much here, because the next subject I'm going to be talking about is the video ideas that I might be doing in sometime, of course, the later part of 2023, because I've got a lot of stuff I've got to chat about Malaysia of such. I've got a lot of Malaysia videos. Realistically, I've been to lots and lots of parts of Malaysia, usually in the state of Selangor. But I did not take as much footage in Pahang, which is where the town of Bentong is, because I was feeling very much depressed of such. In fact, exceptionally depressed because of how much I miss my dad's mother. Of course, yes, I've done a whole bunch of bird watching trips. I've been to... I didn't take any footage on Wednesday because I was even more depressed when I went into that trip to Eco Shop, which was like Malaysia's version of Poundland, along with Mr. DIY, which is like another brand of shopping chains, cheap, low-cost shopping chains in Malaysia. And I used to go to the Eco Shop thing in a branch called Setia Alam, which is like a township in Shah Alam, Malaysia. And I went to that shop and I made a little mistake, and that's when the misery started to come. And I cried so hard when I actually went to that iCity mall after seeing a little boy. He was showing signs of refusement. Obviously he was in a bit of a bad mood. I tried to cheer him up, but I just cried because obviously my dad was, he was trying to guard me, of course, but obviously he was trying to basically strain within me, but I wouldn't go too much of it. He was trying to defend me, but I cried so hard when I saw that boy. But the family were Malay, and obviously they smiled at me. And they smiled at me when I was crying, because obviously I knew how much of a situation like this could potentially become as vile as I thought in the first place. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. This is how families tend to work. When you feel sad, they will always feel glad for you, as always. And that's it. Oops, I think I've made a little mistake here. I think the lightning was actually right in front of the rain. That was not meant to happen. That wasn't meant to happen, actually. Sorry about that. But of course, yes, luckily enough, my depression was curing, but then it wasn't curing. Of course, yes, I went to many places. I went to Jeram Beach just to see some whining birds and monkeys.
I went to Kuala Selangor because I noticed that they had monitor lizards and silver monkeys. They're a bit different to the crab-eating monkeys, which are the most common species of monkeys that they had in Malaysia. Of course, yes, I also went to Second Chan, but my depression was persistent. It only took about a good, decent 3 days to get rid of it, and I remember crying so hard when I was at another mall called City Mall because I was just born, but I had a crying baby. That's why I just cried so hard because of this painful depression. All because of the little mistake that I made on my trip to Eco Shop to buy stuff. And that's why I was straining myself. I didn't feel so enthusiastic that I didn't want to go to, a couple of Japanese malls where I buy these toy trains. And I might talk about, my toy trains and stuff. I've actually purchased a few toy trains from a Japanese brand called Aeon. And they do some really, really, really good toy trains. But it wasn't the IOI mall that I visited. It was the Wanutama shopping center branch that I purchased them. And I think, unfortunately, Tomy Playrail is no longer represented in Malaysia. So I hate to think it's the end of Tomy Playrail. These Japanese trains that you get with the blue track, especially with the Thomas and Friends franchise that I tend to relate to. To me, they were just such a grand toy to look out for. And in fact, I've got more pieces of track, but I've also got some more really sad news, and that is I've lost quite a few bits of curve track. I've now got 6 pieces of curve track, and let me just prove it to you just before as I'm continuing on this video, and let me just show it to you. Because obviously I've lost one Trackmaster track adapter which had like a male peg in it. I've now got one which has only got like a female peg in it. That's the only one I've got. And it's a little bit depressing actually because of just how much a bit of misery can I really accumulate throughout the rest of this whole video. But I've got a lot of stuff to talk about actually, and let me just show it to you. Let me just do a jump cut actually. Now, of course, yes, as I'm making this video, it's Christmas time. Obviously, it's winter time, it's freezing cold. I can see people with Christmas decorations. There's a lot of car activity going around here. There's one car going past by. Obviously, I'm making this video on the 14th of December of 2023. Just a calculate of what I'm doing here. A lot of traffic here, because there's a lot of construction going on here. This is kind of like a developing country, but here we are in fully developed UK. This is a fully developed country, okay? As I'm making this video, and let me just show you the track. I'm just going to turn on the light here for better visibility, and this is what I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got about 5. So obviously I don't know how much track I've actually got. I've got 6 of these pieces, so I don't know what to really say here. I've lost 2 pieces of Tomy track, but I've got some more Tomy pieces of track. I've got some longer pieces of straight track, which are double the size, double the length of this. But I've also got more of those small pieces of straight track, which is actually quite interesting. So I'm actually starting off to purchase straight track just before I can get into other bits of track, like the curve track. Obviously, they were seeing like the last stock of track pieces like the points, which are not as great as I thought. But hey, I've got 2 Tokyo Metro trains. I actually got 1 Tokyo Metro train and a double-decker carriage train with a little figure, which reminds me a bit like Playmobil, I suppose. So obviously, I might do some very good toy reviews in the future, talking about trains like this. And not this bloody fly swatter which can, swat bugs and stuff. Get out of here. Obviously, I don't know how much I could really say, but I really do sort of miss toy reviewing other brands and stuff alongside of my flip-flap toys and merchandise that I really seem to love covering. And while speaking of flip-flap toys, let me just go ahead and do a jump cut. Quite obviously, yes, I've actually done 1 Christmas card. I've only done this. This is called Jungle Bells, Jungle Bells, Jungle, all the way without getting a
DMCA, obviously. And this is what it looks like. Obviously, it's Merry Christmas, jingle all the way with joy. Obviously, it's quite a very nice design here with Courtney in this Christmas spirit. Obviously, yes, and this is the back. Obviously, I haven't got any reindeer antlers on this part of the flip-flap logo. It's kind of looking like it's getting small. It looks like the letter I is kind of more of a purplish colour because I had some very troublesome jet lag symptoms. Obviously, I gotta close the window because it's freezing outside. And here's Courtney, Ollie the Oriole, and Sama the Shama. Looks like it's got a bit of derpy eye action. It's got like cartoonish eyes, and obviously it's a great Christmas card. But I feel like obviously it's too much scribbling. It looks more like a child. Looks more like a kid who would have actually coloured in and messed the whole thing up. But I like it. It's so abstract. I like a bit of abstractness. It adds a bit of more eye candy type things. Obviously, it's quite a bit busy here. That's why there's a bit of car action going on here. And it's also been soaking wet as such. Maybe I'll just close the window just because of how freezing cold it is. And to really sum up the whole video, I actually made another hot drink, of course, that being hot water. Ah, yes. Obviously, the loss of my dad's mother has become so hard. It really hit us so much like a train wreck. I've almost lost the spirit of making videos on YouTube, and that's why I'm feeling a little bit emotional. But I do have a lot of video ideas that I might try and talk about as I'm trying to assemble the animation here. So, obviously, there's quite a lot of video ideas here. I've got some footage of, obviously I might talk about different stuff along the way here. So, just let me hold on. Okay, so the trips to Port Klang, beautiful seaside town, but also the world's busiest port. One of them, of course, in Southeast Asia, and in the world, of course. And, of course, yes, I also have referred so much stuff. Elmina Central Park, and Elmina in general, that was like a residence in Selangor. And it was actually featured on the BBC News website. And apparently, I came to that place because it was also home to that plane crash in Shah Alam, which luckily enough did not hit my dad's house, my dad's residence. In fact, the whole family, of course. That's one thing to really be lucky on saying that. That's why I've decided to say to myself, that did not hit overall did not hit our house. Obviously, that did not hit the house. You know, very, very well. And I mean, very lucky. Whew. Mind you, we will be completely crying to death if that house was broken, if our house was totally blown up to smithereens. Obviously, I don't know, how could I really say to myself, hey, it must have been such a very difficult time to do such, to say so. And I mean, who knows? But I've still got a lot of video ideas that I might come up with, and not just what I've done. So, of course, the Puchong birding episodes. I've got some birds, Eco Ardens Setia Alam, that being a place in Shah Alam. I've got a lot of bird-related stuff in Malaysia, and I've also got like a relaxing rain video that I might put up as well too, and also some bits that and also a separate video of the cars, the buses, and the planes, and also the birds that I filmed in Subang Airport, which is actually very much an airport that used to be an international airport in Malaysia, but now has been replaced by the much more larger Kuala Lumpur International Airport. But yeah, I've actually got a lot of videos coming up, all about what I've done so far in Malaysia, and that's that. But I've also got a lot of other videos which talks about, of course, here's the toy trains from Japan, the Urusei Yatsura stuff, and yeah, you know, the Tomy Playwell stuff that I purchased at the Japanese store in Malaysia. And of course, yes, Salamat Pagi, I mean, that was very bagus. Sorry, I mean, Salamat Pagi means good morning or hello to you. I think I'm trying to learn a bit of fluent Malay, because obviously I must have learned a whole bunch of Malay. Obviously from there, of course. And I mean, there's so much stuff. And also I might talk about
some of the rarer birds in Malaysia that I've seen so much. If I could list them down, that would be really, really great. But obviously, I don't know how much I could really say. I'm just typing in some of the birds that I've actually have spotted. So much so that, hey, it must have been quite interesting. I don't know how much I could say to you guys, but the thing is, Malaysia has so many bird species, and it's so cool that Malaysia really is such a mega diverse country, and that's why I've decided to, search out of the many bird species that I've spotted in Malaysia. So much so, it must have been quite interesting to say such. And I mean, really much so. Actually, wait, is that a bit of folliculitis? Right over my lips? I might as well not pretty much fiddle with that. But yes, a lot of different bird species actually found in Malaysia. It must have been very interesting. Obviously, I'm trying to list out so many birds that I've seen so much in Malaysia. Oh my crockies, there's so many birds here. That's why Malaysia is a mega diverse country. With all such bird species of late, I could probably hardly name them all. But I've came up with such cool looking birds, huh? And that's almost final. And obviously I don't know how many birds am I searching. That's so much, a lot. So many birds. It's actually very much such. There's been a lot of birds here I've actually just decided to search for. That's very interesting. Let me show you what the birds are. So, obviously, let me just do a jump cut. Okay, the birds of Malaysia will include the greater cuckoo, the stalk-billed kingfisher. That's a very nice selfie that you've got there, stalk-billed kingfisher. Greater cuckoo looks like a crow pheasant type thing. Looks like a cuckoo, isn't it? And that there is a red-wattled lapwing. Thank goodness I didn't do the cuckoo sound effect. That would probably annoy a lot of other people on YouTube. Out there is a slightly-breasted whale, which looks like a chicken, kiwi, bird hybrid thing. Oh yes, the Savannah nightjar, an amazing bird. Lovely nocturnal bird species. The Bayer weaver. I did not actually visit my mum's grandparents, my mum's parents' residence, but I must have been there last year and saw these guys here. They're actually quite common, although not really, of course, to say the least. I've seen this specimen, the black-capped kingfisher, vulnerable specimen, and the scarlet-backed flower pecker. It is possibly one bird species I feel mostly proud of, and I'm really glad to see such an incredibly rare bird species that I've never ever came across. It's such an amazing bird. It's small, but has an amazing colour variation of navy blue and a very blackish greenish colour. If I go really closer, it's actually got like a very beautiful looking sort of metallic, sort of darkish greenish sheen on it, and also has red on it. That's why it's called a scarlet-backed flower pecker. That's the male, and that there is the female, looking very much bland like many other female birds are, but hey, that's the whole thing, isn't it? And I mean, obviously, the other bird species I really love, there's a Savannah nightjar. It looks so very much totally different to the European nightjars that we have in the UK. They're incredibly rare in the UK, but in Malaysia, they're very common. Or not so much common, they're quite common actually, because they hunt a lot of insects. Very nice birds. It looks like a cuckoo, pigeon, owl hybrid thing. It looks beautiful. It's so nice actually. It's very beautiful. Oh, I didn't notice there's a whole thing of them flocking, as in like gathering in flocks. Didn't notice that. Very nice birds. Very beautiful. Very interesting birds to look at. Completely stunning, and that's why these birds are such an incredible specimen to be very proud of. Actually, never noticed I encountered a nightjar. Very interesting. And of course, there's the slightly-breasted whale. It's a very recently discovered specimen I've seen, of course, from last year, of course. Red-wattled lapwing is a win-win because, well, not only for the fact that I didn't see it last year in previous Malaysian trips, but I actually saw two of them. I often saw a pair of lapwings. There was like, obviously just a couple of lapwings. I've seen them thrice. And there's the stalk-billed kingfisher. Look how impressive that beak is. But it's not just Malaysian birds. There's the black-capped kingfisher here. Incredible specimen. It's listed as vulnerable. And there's the scarlet-backed flower pecker, which looks like that. Just showing you the actual birds and not other birds. Sorry about that. But of course, I might as well mash up with other bird species from the UK, because I've actually seen other rare bird species like green sandpipers, widgeons, and golden-eyed ducks in the UK, and most importantly, the European kingfisher that I actually have seen, which actually looks like this. I've seen it so much in my area now that I often walk besides the River Ray and see common kingfishers. Mind you, the stork-billed kingfisher and the I nearly said the white-throated kingfisher, but it has a similar build like this. And the black-capped kingfisher almost remind me of kookaburras. That's what they all look like. They're beautiful birds. Obviously, I can't believe how much I've been vlogging so much. Sorry, I've been relatively emotional of such, because of how much I've lost. My dad, of course, though. My dad's mother, actually. And sorry about that. That's how I've pretty much been making such a complex video of mine, just to show you everything or anything in general. But anyways, please give this video a like, subscribe for more Flip Out videos in the future, and I'm really sorry again for the utter emotionalness that I've had so much of late. As always, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.